And again, we're talking to Matt Cooney. He's the Director of Residential Services at the Walker School. WalkerSchool.org is the website. And there's a place that, people have been getting help for over 50 years now, which is amazing. We want to mention again the fundraiser you have coming up at Boston's Western Waterfront Hotel. It's on May 12th. Lives in Bloom. It's a big gala, which, again, we mentioned that it's celebrating the retirement of Executive Director Richard Small after 30 years, you say. It's amazing. Yep. But let's talk about the event. What happens that day? I know you have live and silent auctions, a bunch of raffles and stuff. So set the table for what people are going to be doing that night.
We'll have about 300 people. It's a great event. It's beautifully set up.
You get a great location for it.
Great location for it. Beautifully done. Yeah. Our staff at Walker, Nicole Hand and Mark Goff and Amy Perna, they do a great job pulling this event together. I'm always amazed at how they actually do it. We have great silent auction items, great live auction items. There'll be the Beantown Swing Orchestra will be playing. American Idol finalist John Stevens will be singing.
John Stevens, you remember John?
Yep.
Yeah, he's great.
And of course we're going to be honoring Dr. Rick Small
nice.
Because he deserves that, and it's going to be tough to let him go at the end of June.
It's always tough to lose a great leader.
Yes.
But at those events, one of the great things, if you haven't been to a fundraiser where it's really just a night for you to have, some dinner, drinks, a little something to eat, some dancing, and then you go around to the silent auction stuff or the live auctions.
Yep.
One of the things is you put together at these events, it's not like you're just bidding on, okay, here's a tray of cookies from so-and-so. You've put together a bunch of really unique, money can't buy these things type of experiences.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
which is
I haven't even seen the list yet.
But I've seen it in other years. You look at it, you're like, wow.
Yep.
And that's just the thing. You go through, you never know what to look at, and all of a sudden you're going down, you're like, wow, this is the one I want to go.
One year, one of the items that was incredibly cool was somebody could purchase a flight in a fighter jet. And that was one of those things that is not an everyday occurrence.
You can't get that.
Stretch.
Yeah, they're not letting you into the F-16s at all.
Yep.
Yeah, so those type of events, it's one of those situations where you go in and it's a wonderful night for any couple to go out and enjoy themselves. Yep. But as you go through and you see what's out there, it's a chance to be a part of something really big, and you kind of get the sense of how special the organization is.
It's also a great way to be introduced to the organization and hear, not only have a great night out, but also to be able to hear a little bit about what we do. One of the things that I hadn't mentioned in terms of Dr. Small is when Walker was first originated, it was a home for wayward boys, basically, and it was a very small program serving a small number of kids. Yeah. And really, it's been under his tenure that he has grown it from that to a residential treatment facility for girls and boys, wow. a therapeutic day program. We run a short-term hospital diversion program. We've created, we're Beacon High School, which is in Watertown. Our Watertown campus is an alternative high school for adolescents with mental health issues. And then he also created Walker Partnerships. And what is beautiful about this is we're in 47 school districts. We're taking our expertise at dealing with and working with children with behavioral health issues, and we're taking it to the school systems. We provide consultation, develop programs, and we're spreading kind of the wealth of knowledge that we have within the school system so that kids can get the services that they need within their communities. Because let's agree upon something, Mike. Ideally, we wouldn't have any children living in residential care.
No,
I run a residential program. I think we're very good. We're one of the best at what we do, and we really care about kids. But could we agree? It's probably not the ideal thing that we would like to see for all children.
It's one of those places you want to avoid. But in case you need it, it's a wonderful resource.
We're the resource and we're the place. But more importantly, too, we're a part of helping develop the services within the community so that the children can transition from our location back into the school systems where they can be closer to friends and family and more in touch with the communities in which they've grown up.
So what you were really saying about Dr. Small is that this guy took a program which is very limited in its scope and has become this multi-dimensional. I mean, what you're talking about is an expansion like you don't get over the course of 5 leaders, let alone one.
Correct.
I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I think that's really... it's his tenacity kind of shows through and really always trying to push to the forefront of best practice and how are we going to help children and families be successful within their communities. Because the goal is not for children to come and live with us and to be successful with us. Absolutely not. The goal is for them to be successful within their homes and within their communities. And if they don't have a home, which some of the children that come to us have nobody. And we are, helpful at helping to identify foster care families, pre-adoptive families, for them to go and live. And that's not the way a child should be growing up.
So what you're saying really is that not only do you help people whose kids are, their kids have challenges, but you're talking about some kids who no longer have a place to really call their own, and they're dealing with real beyond just the challenges they're dealing with. Also, their situation becomes amazingly challenging.
One of the things that's been shown in studies is that I think everybody understands that physical abuse of a child or any kind of sexual abuse of a child is incredibly damaging.
Yeah.
But what is more damaging than any one-time incident of abuse is having multiple disrupted placements. And what I mean by that is when a child doesn't have a place to grow up consistently in one place.
Yeah.
So we have children have come to us that have been through 10 placements, meaning multiple foster homes, maybe their biological home originally, maybe a kinship placement, multiple hospitalizations. And that lack of attachment to caring adults' long-term relationships is incredibly damaging and more damaging than a single episode of abuse. And I think that's significant because I think one of the mistaken things about residential care is people say, wow, that's really not a good idea. The child's living outside of the home. Great, I agree with you. But it's also not helpful for them to bounce from one level of care to another. And unfortunately, the way the system is designed, children have to fail up the system because you have to have them in the least restrictive setting possible, which in theory makes sense until you realize that there's a child not getting the real services that they need, and they have to keep failing out of foster home after foster home before they finally get placed into a residential facility.
Wow. So, I mean, in no fault of the state or anything like that, but what we're really talking about is sometimes their best intentions and the best intentions of trying to take care of a kid end up creating even more disruptive situation for them.
Absolutely. And it's an expensive form of care.
Yeah,
I mean, our staff ratio is for every 3 children present, there's 1 staff around, which is a very high ratio. If you go into most public school classrooms, my son's classroom, I think, is something like 20-1.
Yeah, we have 24-1 in Melrose.
Exactly.
Ouch. Talk a little bit about the Beacon School, because obviously that's a little different. It's a high school for kids who have obviously dealt with stuff. And, obviously the high school setting is a place where it probably doesn't get any tougher. There aren't many more challenges from a psychological standpoint than a kid at that age, vulnerable, trying to find themselves in the world, dealing with a lot of outside pressures, dealing with people trying to figure out who they are, and sometimes using them at the expense of kids who are already dealing with other stuff.
Yes.
I mean, so tell us what Beacon School is about.
It's a wonderful facility run by Pam Travers, who has been working. She's a relative newcomer, actually, to Walker. She's only been with us for the last 2 years, and she's doing a phenomenal job over there. We serve about 45 children, youth, I should say, in that setting, and provide incredibly challenging academics. But these are youth that are really not being successful within their home schools. And generally speaking, they don't have behavioral issues. It's more inward acting out. Children that are really suffering from significant depression and feeling kind of alone. Oftentimes, gay, lesbian, questioning youth that are trying to figure out how they fit into their community and trying to understand who they are as a person. And Beacon is a really loving and caring facility and program that really allows them that space and support to kind of figure out who they are. Growing up in high school is challenging enough as is, and then if you're presented with some additional difficulties, it makes it all that much harder. And it's just a caring environment that youth can really be successful in.
So again, there's so many programs that you run, and clearly you play a huge role in this community for not only the community where you are in Needham, but also through a whole variety of different school systems and state systems that are involved as well. We know that obviously fundraising is a big part of it, and again, we want to mention Lives in Bloom, the gala happening May 12th at the Boston Western Waterfront Hotel. If you want info about that, you can go to walkerschool.org, and you can click right there and find out about that. Tell us some of the other ways that people can assist what you guys are all about and help you do what vital work you're doing.
Volunteering is another way to be able to be of assistance. We love to have people to come to our campus, work with our children. There's also, you can either work, there's opportunities to work directly with our children, either in our residences, and coming in, reading books to the kids, spending some time running some activities. So if there's something you're really passionate about and really enjoy, whether it's knitting, doing some sort of outdoor sports activity, there's opportunities to be able to run those kinds of activities. We had somebody doing yoga for a while.
I'm thinking, generally, how old are the kids who are in the residential programs?
Between 5 and 14.
Gotcha.
So
I'm thinking maybe I should
really
be doing
children.
Maybe we should be doing a music meeting there, getting their opinion on some new stuff.
Absolutely.
We want to go to the people.
Yeah.
But you're talking about those type of things. If you have a unique skill that you could bring in and kind of get with the kids and give them an opportunity.
Absolutely.
See, that's very cool. I think a lot of people have a lot to offer that they don't necessarily think apply. But when it comes down to it, what do kids care about? What do you find? When I do when I sit there and listen to music, a lot of times I'm thinking, well, I think kids would like this, but I'm a guy in my 40s. I'm not in touch with that anymore.
But the other thing is, what kids like? Kids like what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
If you can bring your own passions and they find enjoyment in that, it's not something that's forced. It's something that's very genuine. Kids want to learn.
It's funny that one of the things we say to the DJs at the radio station, I always say, if you want an idea of who I'm looking for, you ever watch, God rest his soul, but The Crocodile Hunter before he passed away?
Yep.
That guy loved crocodiles. Man, did he love crocodiles. Yes. And that's the type of passion you want to bring. When you get on that mic, think about how lucky you are. You're playing tunes. You're in the greatest city in the world. It's like, that's the type of thing you want to bring. And, if you have something that you can bring to kids, no matter what that passion is, guarantee they're going to respond to it.
Absolutely.
No, that's great.
No, I agree.
And again, walkerschool.org. Before we let you go, and, hopefully Sue is going to get in and give a few words here.
Yeah, I was hoping to see her.
But what are some things you want to... what misconceptions you kind of want to throw out there to people, what they think of kids who have some behavioral challenges?
Right. Well, I think a lot of times in the families that I've met and talked to over the years, they run into, they'll be in the grocery store, and all of a sudden they set what is a normal limit to say no to candy or something that the child spots on the shelf and wants. And the child all of a sudden knocks things off the shelf or creates a real disruption within the store. The parent is embarrassed, and people are looking at that family, looking at them saying, what did you do wrong? And it's not that simple. If it was that simple, none of us would have any of these difficulties. But the reality is that there's something in that child's brain in which the way in which they interpret the world, they may be anxious, they may be incredibly impulsive, and they literally can't stop themselves from having that temper tantrum. The other thing is, if you have a kid that has a developmental delay, it may be a child that's 10 years old, but they may really be functioning at the age of about 5. Yeah. So it would be more typical for a 5-year-old to have some sort of temper tantrum within a public setting. Yeah. But the problem is, you're from the vantage point of the person standing on the sidelines, you're seeing a 10-year-old having the temper tantrum, and you immediately assume that it must be something that the parent did. It's just not the case.
And it's funny because everyone is so quick to judge.
Yes.
And I think that the old biblical phrase, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone."
Yes.
Everybody has issues. Some people's are more obvious than others. Don't ever make an assumption that you know what a family's dealing with, what a child's dealing with. It's so easy to make those rash judgments, and it is so unfair to the kid, to the family, to everybody involved to make those.
I couldn't agree more.
Well, one more time, the event happening, Lives in Bloom, the gala on May the 12th, Boston Westin Waterfront Hotel. The Walker School, obviously, an organization doing amazing work all over the greater Boston area. And, again, Matt Cooney, I appreciate so much you being here. And, again, we want to give big ups to Dr. Richard Small retiring, and it's tough to lose a great leader like that. But obviously, you want to stay.
But I have no doubt he's going to be doing other great things in the rest of his career as well. I have no doubt. The other thing I should mention that if anybody's interested in purchasing tickets, please email Nicole Hand at nhand at walkerschool.org, or call her at 781-292-2160. And certainly my email is mcooney, MCOONEY at walkerschool.org. walkerschools.org if there's any questions.
Matt, it is always a pleasure to talk to you. I mean, look up and it's all of a sudden 30 minutes gone by. It is such a pleasure to talk to you. And again, thanks for doing the great work at Walker.
I appreciate you having me, Mike. Thanks. Take care.